Hello fellow inkers and gamers, this is MrDEADINK, and today I'll be doing a how to make a comic book tutorial. Pretty much I'm gonna talk about things I've talked about before into one longer video, explaining in more depth, I guess, of how to make a comic book. Well, two important things you want. Well, actually, one very important thing. You want a story. You have to have a story in your head. If you go in without really knowing what you're going to be writing about, it'll be really hard for you. Me, for the most part, I have the whole story planned out, but I don't have it all 100% planned out in my head. It's pretty mapped out well, but, getting to certain points, I don't have completely figured out. What I like to do is at least be ahead, at least by a chapter. So, in chapter 1, I already know what's going to happen in chapter 2. In chapter 2, I already know what's going to happen in chapter 3. So on and so forth. That really helps with the flow of your story. It makes you write really great stories. Another thing, drawing is nice to be able to do. But I personally, I really can't stress how much of a important story is. I mean, I'm getting quite a good amount of fans for MrDEADINK, and the drawings are nice, and they're not the best, but it's a story that I believe is capturing everybody's eyes. Now, I get this compliment a lot, saying that my story flows really well, and I'll talk about that. So how do you make a story flow well? Well, basically, after I finish a chapter, I like to go by chapters and upload them so that you guys get hooked on it. I used to put up my pages like on DeviantArt, like 3 pages every week or whatever. That doesn't work, guys. Don't do that, because then people will start forgetting names of your characters. People start doing this, like, they'll read 3 pages and then they'll read the next 3 pages, and then at that point they're just looking at it for pictures. If you put up a chapter at a time, however long it takes, I think a month is a good time frame. Say hi to my son. A month is a good time frame to do that. So basically, I like to do it every month. I know I fucked up twice where it took me like 3 months and 4 months to upload a chapter. But if you upload it in quantity, you're more likely to get fans. It's like issues. Each chapter is pretty much an issue, and then you want each chapter to end with somewhat of a interesting hook. Not every single one should end with a hook, but at least some. Like, out of, let's say you have a 10 chapter book, at least 3 or 4 of them should have some kind of a hook. Anyways, as to making a story flow, after I finish a whole chapter, I'll go back and just look at what needs to be added, like, and where can I add pages. I've talked about this. I call them in-betweens. For instance, chapter 3 was a zombie scene, I believe. Yeah, actually it was. Yeah, so this chapter there. Sorry, chapter 4. I went back in and I've added, like, this was an add-in. This was a new page I added in. I don't know, like, this was a new page I added. I just go in and add new pages after I already finished the book, just to make it flow really, really well. As for transitions between chapters, it's kind of hard to do. I don't know how I do it. I'm just lucky, I guess. I really can't tell you what I do to make a chapter transition into another chapter well. You just gotta read your book, man. You gotta read it. You gotta have people read it. That's why I like the whole online community thing. That's a siren. 1 second. Anyways, people will get to feedback and telling you how well you're doing, and then you have friends, families. You let them read it, tell them, does this flow well? If it flows well, yeah. Mess around with the chapters. You just gotta mess around a lot. Another thing, you gotta be able to tell your story right. Not just with the, because you can have your whole story in your head, but you gotta know how to tell it. One thing is showing the images, of course. That's a comic book. Definitely you want to have images that explain your story, your character. But another thing you want to do is I guess the bubbles, the dialogue, you gotta write it well. If you're not a good, and I've seen this a lot. If your handwriting is not good, don't do it. Don't do it. Have somebody else do it for you. I have my wife do it for me because my handwriting isn't that great. And I'll have her spell check it and everything. But you gotta really have like a good story. That's basically the best thing about a comic book, is a very interesting story. So yeah, as for drawings, I'll be doing some more drawing tutorials if you guys want to learn, I guess, my style. Honestly, this is a different style. I really never seen it. I don't like anime, so I don't say it's anime, but some of the features, I guess, they have like big eyes sometimes. That's anime style. But I also have like people that look more like people, which is, I don't know. I really enjoy my style. I wouldn't change it for the world. But anyways, that's pretty much what I can say about making a comic book. It's not that easy. You need a lot of time. You need to be able to sit there and draw. I mean, come on, this comic book, I've been working on it for a year already. And you know, and I would have been done faster too, probably, but you know, I had 2 setbacks. The first chapter, where it took me 3 months to get done, second, and the 4th chapter, which took me 4. And the 4th chapter was pretty sad. I just needed to add 3 more pages in income, and I would have been done. But you gotta be patient, basically. You gotta love this. But I would recommend, if you're working on a comic book, so you don't get bored of it, do take time off. Take time off. Start drawing something else. Start playing video games for a bit. Just take 2 weeks off, take a week off, and then get back to it. Because that's another thing. Like, you don't want to just keep on drawing and drawing and drawing, trying to push it out, and you're gonna push out something that's shit. Like, forget, if you have deadlines, don't really focus on that deadline. Like, some, you know, let's just say I want my chapter to be 20 pages, and then I'm kind of going over 20 pages. Don't worry about it. Or if you go under 20 pages, don't fill it up with a bunch of bullshit that doesn't make sense and makes your story suck. Just make it flow. If it flows, it's okay. End the chapter. That's basically what I did. Like, you can't do 20 pages and then end it in a weird spot and then start the next chapter. That doesn't work like that. You don't want to end it in weird places for your readers. Yeah, making comic books, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, but it's somewhat stressful and hard work. Because I love drawing, but shit gives me a headache after drawing for a long time. And it's very time consuming. Again, my drawings aren't that great, but it takes me about an hour to ink each page. After I can draw them like quickly, I can throw out the story there, but the inking process, it's a pain in the ass. Anyways, that was just me talking about, I guess, ranting about how to make a comic book. It's really fun. Again, one of the things I like to do is I cut my paper in half. I have a short, this is like a manga style size comic book. The paper I just cut in half, and I have more paper to work with. Save the trees and shit, you know. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys.